Today I wanted to talk about what happens when social media fails. And I think this is a really interesting thing to talk about today because it literally just happened yesterday. We had, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but yesterday morning, Facebook and Instagram both went down for a hot minute. Obviously, they got it back up and running. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this today. But yeah, it was down. And I believe also Twitter was affected. Some other websites were affected. But there was some issues with social media yesterday. And this brought up a really interesting convo because this is something that a lot of us take for granted. So obviously, these days, we utilize social media to promote our businesses. And it is, like I said, in my last couple of podcasts, we've been talking about how social media is a great opportunity because it's a way to advertise your business for free, right? We're able to put whatever we want on our social media. We've talked about best practices, at least from my perspective, for professionals. We've been talking about how to really strategically use social media rather than, especially if you're a business owner, whatever kind of business owner you are. I mean, my podcast is geared towards people in the nail industry, but really this applies to any kind of business owner. We often get wrapped up in social media from a consumer-minded perspective. And as business owners, we really need to separate that out, right? Because we're using social media for a very different purpose than becoming Insta-famous or, just scrolling on things and looking at things. So our business account is very, very specific. And we talked in my last couple of podcasts about, how you can better find people that are going to be able to visit your brick and mortar local business. We talked about using location. We talked about different ways to actually post and use captions and use, all of those different things to create a menu with pictures, to really put all of that information out there for potential clients or customers. And if you didn't catch those previous episodes, check out my podcast archive. I have that on YouTube. You can see those previous episodes there on the Nail Hub YouTube channel. But yesterday, obviously, Meta went down. So one of the things that this brings up to mind is what happens to your ability to connect with your clients or your customers if social media goes down. I talk to a lot of nail technicians, a lot of business owners, salon owners in the industry are individuals. It's not, like a big giant hair salon or something. Most of the salon owners in the nail industry are independent business owners. So they're in a salon suite, they're working out of their house, maybe they rent a booth. Some of you might be working in a big salon, but it's actually a very small percentage of the industry. So for most of you that I speak to, your number one way to communicate with your clientele, to take appointments, to get potential people interested, whatever, is actually through DMs these days. And this, as an old millennial, I am often surprised by how few people actually even have people's phone numbers anymore. It's like we've moved away from phone numbers. We find text messaging almost intrusive in certain ways. And it's interesting. So now we're onto DMs, or we only, interact on social media posts or talking to each other. Well, what happens if those social media platforms go away? How do you continue to contact your potential clientele, your customers? Where does all your customer data go? Do you even have customer data? So this brings up some really interesting things. So what's your backup plan for when social media goes down? I'm the perfect ironic example of this. I am going live with my podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And if these platforms went away today or tomorrow, what does it matter how many followers I have if I can't contact any of you? So that's where this customer data piece comes into play. And this is where a lot of businesses, I think, don't do a good enough job in collecting that customer data. Now, we often think of collecting customer data as a sinister thing. It's like, oh, you're invading my privacy. I don't want you to have my email address. But if you're actually a client of a business, I do want those people to be able to contact me. I do want to be able to continue to book with them or talk with them or buy products for them or hear what their business is up to. And if my only access to them is through social media and social media goes away, well, then what happens to my whole ability to source what I need? So customer data, I think you guys should seriously consider if you're only using DMs to manage your business, private messaging, DMs, whatever you want to call it. I highly recommend you guys start collecting some information from people. I definitely recommend you having at least a phone number so you can text people, you can reach out to them just in the case that things go down. Now, obviously, people have their preferred method for contact. Like mine is email. I love email. Please don't text me. Please don't call me. I love email because I can actually keep all of those messages tracked. But I also know some people like never use their email. A lot of the people I talk to in the industry, they check their email like once a week, which, you know, in my world is like, whoa, that's crazy. I can't believe you're only checking your email that intermittently. So I want you guys to review, what customer data do you have for your current clients? Do you have their phone number? Do you have their email address? You know, beyond DMs, beyond all this social media focus that we have, how are we able to contact these people if things disappear tomorrow? A booking system is also a great way if you're talking about having some kind of customer data management system. You can actually have things like a booking system where you load all of this stuff in. That way you get all of that information from, you know, the first step. But I was reading some industry statistics. Interestingly enough, the highest usage, the tool that has the highest usage in our industry still to this day is good old pen and paper, like a paper booking calendar where they write down your name, maybe your phone number or something like that. And that's the extent. And that's the largest percentage of data collection. That's the biggest tool that is used within our nail industry for data collection is pen and paper, a booking calendar. And it's pretty crazy to think in 2024, we're still doing stuff like that. But I understand that pen and paper works for some people. So that's cool too. But I do think that if you're going to be collecting customer data, you want to have it in a place that's organized and easy to refer to. So that could be adding the customer data to your phone contacts. If you're a sole proprietor, if you're working by yourself, you could just have phone contacts. You could even put like client is the first word, and then that way you can see all of your clients in alphabetical order. You could use a booking software to load everybody into so that you have all of that customer data. But I definitely recommend having either cell phone number or email or both if possible, so that you have the ability to continually contact these people and continue that conversation even if your social media goes down for whatever reason. So I think this is something for you all to think about, just as we went through this experience yesterday. It is something that is always on the top of my mind. I mean, I have worked really hard to build my audience online. I've, got a strong YouTube channel. We've got a strong Instagram account, all of those things, but there is very helpful uses that come out of social media, but it's also really important to remember that it is something that could be fleeting, not to freak you guys out or anything, but just it is something that you need to consider. What happens if this goes away at some point? How would I continue to contact my client base if this goes away? So just food for thought today. I thought I would do a quick little podcast about this topic. I'm looking at the chat as well real quick just to see if you guys have any specific questions about this. And a lot of you are saying you had to take a break from social media, and I get that too. I mean, social media is something that is so positive and negative all at the same time. There's so much potential in it. That's what's crazy about it. I mean, it's limitless potential that resides within these social media platforms that we have access to. But it's also something that can be so demotivating. It's something that can take so much time. And, we've got screen usage and how is a thing that we monitor. I mean, we're all trying to do better at having this work-life balance or this social media real-life balance. And it is really difficult, but I would encourage you to continue to utilize social media for your business, because above all else, it is a free advertising opportunity that really truly doesn't exist in many other places. And if you think about it from that perspective, I think a lot of you will not want to take breaks as often. I think the reason why a lot of people want to take breaks from social is that they are attaching again, I talked about this last time, it's like you're attaching your personal identity to your social. Like if you don't get a whole bunch of likes or a whole bunch of engagement, that somehow you're not important, you're not special, people don't care about you, that you're not likable. And it really creates this negative storm inside of our heads when things don't go the way we anticipate them going on social. I think everybody wants to feel loved and appreciated and valued, and we all like to be, feeling like when we put ourselves out there in the public eye that we get some of that appreciation. And if you're not getting that all the time, or if you're constantly comparing yourself against others, it can become very demotivating very quickly. And that's also why I try to also focus on, I got rid of my personal social for the most part, but I do keep my business one. And when I go on social, I try to always think of it from a business perspective. What am I strategically doing on this platform? What am I looking at? Why am I looking at those things? How does that help me actually create posts for my business? Or, I'm trying to glean data and less of, oh, look at what they're doing. That makes me feel bad about myself. Okay. So I think that's where we need to kind of create that compartmentalization on social, and stop looking at it from some kind of personal identity issue or some kind of value meter for you as a person, because your business is a completely separate thing. And you utilizing social media platforms, it's kind of like when you say like, oh, I'm just using this job for the paycheck. There's also something to be said for that as well, right? The social media is something that we're kind of using it just for the free advertising opportunity. So think about it from that perspective. And I think that often helps. And the likes, the engagement, social media has changed a lot. Ask anybody, even people that have hundreds of thousands of likes on their stuff, they will tell you that the stuff that they're getting likes on now is completely different than what it used to be. And also they have to work 10 times harder to get that same level of engagement. So if you're only getting, I talk to people about this all the time. They're like, Liz, I'm so frustrated. I do all this work on social and I get like 7 people to like it, and you might have even a few thousand followers on social and you're still getting 7 likes, or you're getting 0 comments. Nobody seems to be actually engaging with it. And that is something that I've seen just across the board. It's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for a lot of the people that I talk to. It's one of those things that you have to evolve a little bit with how you're using social media. People's attention spans are a lot shorter than they used to be. We scroll so much now that it's not even about likes anymore. It's about how can you get someone to stop scrolling for like a few seconds. If you can get someone to stop scrolling for like 3 seconds, the algorithm will go, oh, you attracted some attention there. Okay, this must be worthwhile content. It's gotten really crazy with the metrics that we're talking about. So if you're not getting likes, if you're feeling demotivated on social, if you feel like nobody's paying attention to your stuff, if you feel like what's the point of this, I still think, again, all the stuff I've talked about over the last couple weeks, using those localizing factors on your social, using local hashtags, tagging a location in your post, thinking about what kind of information you're communicating to those potential clients or those potential customers. If you go from that perspective, even if only 2 or 3 people see that, it's going to help you get potential clients, okay? Maybe you're not going to feel warm and fuzzy about how many people liked it or how many people engaged with it, but I can tell you for a fact there's going to be eyeballs that are going to be seeing that. And if you're thinking about it from that perspective, that menu with pictures, those eyeballs are going to get that amount of information that they need to make that potential purchasing decision that much faster, which means you're addressing the short attention span, you're being strategic about what you're posting and why you're posting it. And then you're also going to be, not feeling as demotivated, because it doesn't really matter if you're getting Insta famous on there. The idea behind it is just to get some eyeballs on your information so that people have a better idea of who you are, where you are, what you do, how much it costs, how much time it takes. And if they're interested, by the time they go through all those stages, they will be filtered. All the BS will be filtered out as far as people that aren't serious about booking with you. And anybody who does continue that conversation with you is more likely a very high intent kind of customer, someone who's already very decided on wanting to book with you, wanting to move forward with the booking process. So that is something that I think will also naturally help you feel better about social, is separating yourself from that and just saying, hey, it's just like putting an ad in the newspaper. I'm never going to see how many people actually read that newspaper. I'm not necessarily going to get a whole bunch of feedback from that post because someone just bought the newspaper and read the newspaper and saw my ad in there. Think about it like that and stop attaching your value to how many thumbs up, how many hearts, all of those things that you might get. Because it is harder these days, I'm not going to lie. And everybody will tell you that. It's a constant challenge, even for social media experts, to figure out what is the next thing that is going to be the thing that gets people to stop the scroll, engage, like, comment. And as you've probably seen, a lot of the stuff that gets people to stop these days is more silly stuff. And that's because I think we're all really worn out and we need a little bit of just lightheartedness in our day. But I do know that a lot of people still use social media to find businesses, to check out people's credibility. Maybe they heard about you from one platform. They're going to go and maybe investigate you on others and see, are you active on your social? Are you posting about things? What kind of things do you post? I mean, that's what I do. The first thing I do when I see about a new business is I go and I check their social and see, are they even active on it? Or do they even care about being invested in their business? Okay. So, but beyond all that, I mean, again, this opportunity that we have with social is really great. It's something that is accessible to everybody. And I think that's why it's so powerful, is that you don't have to have a bunch of money or a bunch of power to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that social media offers. That is what is one of the biggest benefits. It also is something that can connect us across great distances. And it's something that really creates communities. Before it would have been so much harder to actually get people to see where you were, come visit you, all of that. Nowadays, we have that opportunity. And yes, there is a lot of competition on social, but there's still a ton of opportunity there. But beyond that, once you get that interaction from social, once you have that ability to glean that customer data off of that social media platform, definitely focus on doing that. Because if for whatever reason, Meta goes down, YouTube goes down, TikTok goes down, whatever the internet goes down, you know what I mean? These are all serious things that could actually happen. How would you continue to contact your client base if you don't have their information? And like I said, I'm speaking from the perspective of nail industry professionals, but no matter what kind of business owner you are, this is totally applicable. And I hope that today's topic helps you guys a little bit with thinking more strategically about how you're using social media. All right? See you guys next time. Bye.